I think I started gaming when I was very young, and I think it was mostly due to the friends I was around. We played card games mostly, board games, along those sort of things. We just really weren't big into football. We weren't into soccer, baseball every now and then, but it was never something we always did. It always seemed like every night we would go over to someone's house into their basement and play games, usually usually board games or card games. It I like to play these games, one because it seems to be an emotional connection from when I was younger. It seemed to always like tax your intellect. It always seemed to be tough, fun, and it was. And at least in our group, there was never a clear winner. It was always more of a battle of wits, and I enjoyed that. Uh, some of the games that I play now that I am currently fully into is Magic the Gathering, which is a trading card game. Most people might relate to similar ones would be Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. Some people have an online game Hearthstone, very close to that one, just different maker, different rules, different complexity. Magic the Gathering has been around since 1993, so there's been many cards, many players, and it's become a true collectible. I like to play the game in all of its forms. Some of the forms are like just what's currently out, what's been out for a while, and what's been out for the whole time. So there are two formats that I partake in the most. One, which is modern. It's a modern format, is simply stuff from I think it's 2002 on, just simply a small line in the sand that they just said this is where the start point is. In Legacy, I play a combo deck, which is what I like. It wins with a few cards, and so that's what I like to do. But Magic is more than just which cards you play. In these formats, people like to go past that. You can play just the normal cards, such as like what was printed. Nothing's going to be too surprising about that. You have things which Wizards, who owns Magic the Gathering, calls foils or premium cards. These do just the same thing as normal cards. They're just shiny and very impressive looking. And they show that the person who built the deck using a lot of shinies or foiled cards shows care, love, devotion to these decks. That they're not just thrown together. They've had patience. They've had someone who's devoted to the deck. And both of my decks are very devoted. I have spent lots of money on these decks. And lots of money for different people might mean different things. For one, my Legacy deck, which is known by most people in Legacy as an expensive format. It is very true. The deck that I currently play, which is base value, cheapest card you can get, would cost about $800 to build, or to buy all the cards. The current value of the deck, as it stands, with the premium cards, cards that have been signed, cards that have been found in different languages even, roughly sits at about $2.4 thousand. Pretty much means it's more than my car. That's the sad part. One of the main places I like to buy cards from is Star City Gaming's. It's just one of the main popular department stores for card games. I've spent many shopping carts at this place. My order history is has numerous accounts of lots of money. However, one thing to note was due to a recent birthday and for reasons unbeknownst to me that I wanted to do this, and subconsciously maybe, I purchased a card for my Legacy deck. It's a premium version of a card. The card that I'm replacing costs $10, and the value of the card I'm replacing it with is over $600. With Magic the Gathering cards, the upper half is an actual piece of art that Wizards has commissioned. Now, one thing that some people with decks like to do is get the artist to sign them. And For me, I like having artists sign them. It shows personalization. It shows commitment. It's appreciation that you like their work. Now, some people don't like it. It'll actually devalue the card if you get an artist to sign it. But for those trying to bling their deck out, pimp it out, I think it's a necessary step. Some artists just simply sign their name, and that's all that's needed. But some artists like to go a step farther, and not only sign their name, they like to sign their name using different pens. So, if the card is gold, they'll sign it in gold. If the card is black, in black. But one of the cards we have here is Steve Argyle. He's a very famous artist, and for some of the cards he's very famous for, it's a black and green card. He will sign his first name in black and his last name in green. And it just really pops out the full card on both sides. It is something that is really impressive, and that anyone looking at it can agree that it looks much better. These are my current hobbies, and I have spent lots of money on them. I admit that wholeheartedly. I'm okay with it, even though my girlfriend probably wouldn't be. However, I think this is a hobby that I'm okay with. It's a hobby that I'm going to have, and it's definitely a hobby I'm going to continue for definitely the next few years, maybe even a decade or two.